today on Parade, we've got Anthony Muckle, who we did an On Parade with, God, before the pandemic, I think. And Anthony had just come out of prison and was going into therapy. So we're catching up with Anthony.
I've been involved helping out with the high intensity service, been around the NHS trusts, trying to publicise the Veterans Mental Health and Wellbeing Service, been on prison radio.
Wow.
They asked for my favourite songs and then they all linked into veterans' mental health and mental health awareness. Finished my first year at university, which went pretty well. And yeah, that's about it really, I suppose.
I ended up in a hospital for my own protection as well, mate. For almost 10 weeks, I tried to gas myself in a car. My story's out there. But you know one thing, I don't know if you thought the same as me, buddy. I remember thinking in that hospital with all that time in my hands, I thought when I get out of this hospital, I'm going to finish off the job. I'm a squaddy. I've got a job to do. Glad I didn't, mate, and life's changed. And this is what we're putting these educational videos out for. But did you think that as well, mate? You think I failed? Right, when I get out, I'm going to finish off the job.
That's exactly what the thoughts were, especially after crashing a car and ended up in the psychiatric hospital. All I was thinking about in there is how I was going to get out and do the job properly. Because I was a failure. You know, I failed in life. I failed in trying to end my life. But times have moved on. Those dark days, they come and go, but they're nowhere near what they were those few years ago.
You didn't fail, buddy. I know you felt that. I think we're just misguided. We've taken a wrong path, but it's just about getting back on the right path, mate. And there's enough evidence to suggest that your life will and can change around. But most importantly, you're not alone.
I didn't know what needed sorted out. I was just so down and low.
So the two of you have been through those problems, and I've been through my problems as well. And talking to a lot of soldiers, when the problems start is not immediately when you leave. It's kind of a year or 2 years later when you are floundering and you feel that you're lost. Is that what happened to the both of you?
It's coming from a world where you've been in a family, a brotherhood, and a sisterhood like never in your life. You're on tours together, doing things that are out of the extraordinary. And then suddenly when you're in dangerous situations, like you've got a loaded weapon and you're on a tour, when all that's gone and you go back to a fluffy society called CIVVY Street, the danger is still in your mind, but the safety of your brothers and sisters has gone. And then suddenly you are very, very exposed. There's nobody back in your corner anymore. But you think CIVVY Street's going to be a breeze. And for some and many, not all, it can be a huge challenge.
I think that's exactly right. I think I went to my dad was in the army. I went to a military boarding school. I joined up. So you don't understand your emotions because somebody's telling you how to react, training how to react, learning what to do in certain situations. But when you come out into the big wide world and you've got all these emotions and you've been learnt to control them, when things go wrong in a different way, you don't realise it's happening. You don't realise you're sinking into depression. You're starting to isolate because you've got nobody around you to have a laugh and a joke with about the same old things that you used to laugh and joke about with people in the same situation. So you don't know how to deal with everything.
Those first times when you experienced a huge drop in mental health and thoughts of suicide, and you came out of that. So what was the initial contact with the NHS like? You've seen Dr. Sue Ferrier, and now you've gone in for your first, diagnosis, would it be?
Yeah, it took a couple of goes for her to get me in mind because, I suppose like all of us, I was worried about, you're going to be mad, you're going to get locked up again. But then I didn't care about being locked up again. I was quite happy with 3 meals a day in a bed and rubbish telly. So, but I think when I did go in, they were good. They listened, they helped, they explained why I had the thoughts I had. Not necessarily about the suicidal thoughts, but what led up to that, why I ended up in that situation. That was the first time I could see why I did what I did. So then going forwards, I know how to try and avoid those situations or deal with the situations differently. But the important thing was, it was people listening, people believing my story.
I've been self-medicating for a while just to try and numb myself, and the doctor wouldn't give me any more stronger sleeping pills, forced me to go down for the diagnosis. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I think within that diagnosis, I burst into tears. I'd never done that before because I'd locked everything in. But when I came out and caught the bus home, it was like a ray of sunshine. I thought, it's not me. It's the way I've developed and the way my brain is coping. And she's told me I can sort this out. There's tools to do it. And I thought, it's just like a mission. It's just like training. I can come out of this. And now I'm a much better person than I was before. Did you feel the same, guys?
Yeah, I think I did. Once I knew somebody cared enough to spend the time with me and listen to what was going on. And I was diagnosed with PTSD. And I'd been going through for 20 years saying I didn't have PTSD, but I'm not a doctor. So, you fill in questionnaires and it says, have you got PTSD? Well, no, I'm not mad. Well, I was. And I think it was the relief of not having a label put on it, but having a diagnosis that meant something was broken. And I think, as Sean said earlier, it wasn't just me and my brain. It was, there's something generically wrong that can be fixed.
Just envious that you talk about sleeping tablets. I'm banned from having them, mate.
The sleeping tablets, they were like an hors d'oeuvre before I got into the real drugs and the whiskey and this stuff. And then I'd feel myself going dizzy and I thought, I'm passing out now. This is good. Bang. And I'd wake up in the morning and think, I wonder if I can go through a night without doing it. And of course, you get to 8 or 9 o'clock and where's the pills? Where's the drugs? It's crazy way to live. But you then went on a journey, didn't you, Anthony? So how long did that journey take, the therapy?
Well, I had a year at first, and during that year, they called it compassion therapy. It was learning to look after me. People said, oh, you've got to love yourself, forget about everyone else. I didn't know what that felt like. I didn't even know what they meant by loving yourself. It's like, that sounded just a little bit wrong at times.
You talk about learning to love ourselves. It's very alien to think like that, because when we were in the military, can you imagine the sergeant major say, right, lads, you've just been knocking the shit out of each other doing milling. This afternoon, we're going to love ourselves. Get on the parade square and start hugging each other. Like, what? Do you know what I mean?
You never wanted to be taught loving yourself, did you, in the army?
You never want to
You weren't allowed to love yourself.
God love yourself.
Recently went to a recovery cafe where they've got a Veterans Day on every single Friday.
Yeah.
And it's run by a veteran who was injured in Afghanistan. But the things we talk about have been quite dark, but funny. People say about banter, but that's the banter. It's not picking on people. It's not bullying people. Sitting there, we're talking about, being on a submarine. Next thing, we're talking about SLRs. I mean, how did that happen? And the man's picking up his crutch to show us how long one might have been. And it's like, you don't get that. And I think when we're going through a bad place, that's the environment sometimes we need to be in, because other people don't get
I think
our darkness.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I was trying to explain to somebody that the difference between military banter and civvy banter. I said civvy banter is often cruel and malicious, and they're trying to put the other person down for some personal gain within the structure of the employment. I said military banter is all about making friends. It's all about laughing with somebody. It's all about pointing out whatever misfortune it was. Don't worry, mate. We're all with you and we're having a laugh about it. And I said, that is the difference.
I think when you're in your own world, in your own darkness, you can listen to a therapist great. But to me, I need to see other veterans or other people. I get my strength from where they're at.
Yeah.
So I know I've still got somewhere to go. Otherwise, I would just give up.
You said it's on a journey, and you can see people who are behind you and people who are in front of you. And it's kind of like when we first started training, isn't it? You think, I'll never be able to salute and march and do all that square bashing and do all that rifle drill. And then you see people in the regiment, you go, oh, so when I've gone through this course of training, I'm going to be like that. And I think what happens with the users group is we can see people and go, they came through some dark stuff, look at them now. They're compassionate, they can talk to me, they're explaining things, they're talking to others, they're helping other people out. I think it's a nice place to be, isn't it?
And I think it needs more of us to tell other people who've been in similar situations, and that might be the help and the therapy that you need to see that, you know, other people have been through it and they understand what you might have gone through.
And the fact that there is something like the NHS that free at the point of entry, and they're going to spend so much time being empathetic and caring and helping you to be a better person, I think is truly amazing.
Yeah.
And they're doing as much as they can to make sure we get some treatment or help or guidance, support, whatever it might be.
What the NHS are doing is equipping you with skills and procedures to help you get over these dark places and actually be a better person. I feel a much rounded person than I did before. Before I was very driven to accomplish things, missions, not all good ones, by the way.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're doing. They're teaching me how to cope, and sometimes the stuff we've been through it will never go away. Depression might always be there. I think it's about learning to cope with an illness. My life can be better, and I can better help other people to seek help. Hopefully before it gets to their extreme, then it's all been worth it.
Exactly what we're pushing in the armed forces at the NHS is some sort of halfway house basic training for people coming out to equip them with just basic skills to survive. Yeah. That was really good. I feel feel full of energy, actually. You cheered me up.
We've had a lot. One thing I'm going to say to our Anthony, have you got any message for anybody out there today, brother, who is struggling? Anything at all? What would you say?
Reach out, talk to your friends, and just get some support.
Yeah.
And you are not alone. You are not alone. I mean,
definitely.
Brilliant. You're fantastic, mate. You are fantastic, buddy.
And these are the numbers and these are the websites for you to have a look at and talk to people straight away. And believe me, the people are very nice and compassionate. You're not going to be judged.
Yeah. Very nice indeed. Brilliant stuff, lads. Brilliant stuff.